Smoke rising above Washington, D.C. on the sixth night of protests. On the ground, a large fire just a couple hundred meters from the White House, one of many dramatic images on this night. Good evening, I'm Ian Hannamansing. Tonight, an extraordinary moment in America. Protests, police, and the pandemic. Rage from New York to Los Angeles. George Floyd! We're on the ground at the center of the protests over George Floyd's death. The messages, the response, the calls for leadership, the demands for change.
Y'all come up with a better way.
A social crisis in the middle of a health crisis and an economic crisis. What will it take to restore peace? What will it take to bring meaningful change? Extensive coverage from both sides of the border tonight. This is The National. Across the United States, we are watching protests unfold. Curfews now in effect in Washington, Minneapolis, Chicago, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, among other places. And along with police, thousands of National Guard troops are on patrol. Everyone is bracing as again protests have descended into violence. The demonstration sparked by the death of an unarmed black man in police custody a week ago. George Floyd died after a police officer kneeled on his neck for several minutes as he struggled to breathe and pleaded for his life. That happened in Minneapolis. It's where Susan Ormison is tonight. Stephen D'Souza covering the situation in New York. And Paul Hunter has the view from Washington. And let's begin where there have been dramatic scenes in the American capital city tonight, where a curfew has just gone into effect. But the protests continue. And Paul, what's happening now where you are?
Well, I can only report what I see, of course, Ian, and the demonstrations have moved on. We stayed here, though, for an important reason, which is what's left in the street behind me as we zoom in down toward the White House, which is just behind that line of police and other security officials. A few minutes ago, the scene here was quite dramatic. There have been firecrackers tossed that way, tear gas tossed this way. Police did their job in an orderly fashion. They moved the demonstrators away from the White House. That began when a building was set fire, I don't know, about 200 meters from the White House on the park, Lafayette Park across from the White House, clearing the demonstrators that had gathered all day in front of the White House, shouting their message directly at Donald Trump inside. Outside the White House, in shouting distance of Donald Trump, fury. The message to the president is clear. Do something.
I can't stand for that.
From George Floyd's own brother today, anguish.
I just don't understand, man. Why we gotta go through this? Why we gotta have all this pain, man?
The pain is fresh, but the sad circumstance is bitterly familiar. From Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, to Eric Garner on Staten Island, to the protests in Baltimore after the death of Freddie Gray, nothing seems to ever change for Black Americans. Enter Donald Trump, last week threatening demonstrators who go too far with, as he put it, vicious dogs. For many, echoing ugly imagery from decades past in this country and sparking a plea today from the mayor of Washington for Trump to help calm the nation.
And he can start by not sending divisive tweets that are meant to hearken to the segregationist past of our country.
Or as Atlanta's Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms put it,
he should just stop talking.
Trump has said nothing publicly today, but did tweet, slamming journalists for stoking hatred and anarchy, also blaming the left-wing group Antifa, branding them a terrorist organization. As presidents often do, Trump called the Floyd family on Friday. Today, Philanese Floyd described their conversation.
It was so fast. He didn't give me the opportunity to even speak. It was hard. I was trying to talk to him, but he just kept pushing me off, I don't want to hear what you're talking about. And I just told him I want justice. I said that I couldn't believe that they committed a modern day lynching in broad daylight.
Outside the White House tonight, Ian, I got to say, all is calm, at least as far as I can see. It's been a crazy night. 3 in our crew were hit by objects or fists at one point, but in front of the White House, as I speak, for the moment, all is calm.
So different from the scenes you were showing us just a short time ago. Paul Hunter in Washington, D.C. Protesters also out in New York City tonight, and tensions have been high. Stephen D'Souza is there. And Stephen, late into the night, what are you seeing now?
Well, it's interesting, Ian, there was a large crowd here facing off with the police, and then a bottle was thrown from that crowd, and police rushed that crowd, dispersed them, sent them down the street. So you can see the officers now in a bit of a lull now after that confrontation. A bottle or some sort of projectile also came from the building above us as well, and so that was something that the police officers were dealing with, possibly another one from another building. And so throughout the night, as things got later, things got more tense, which was a stark contrast from earlier in the day where things were a lot more peaceful.
In New York, protesters are united in their target, the police, but over the last few days, they haven't always been united in their approach. Today in Manhattan, crowds marched peacefully, trying to bring the focus back to their message of justice. But there's also been violence. The last few days and nights have seen police vehicles burned, buildings damaged, hundreds of arrests, and dozens of officers injured. The city is also still reeling from this on Saturday, an NYPD cruiser plowing into a crowd of protesters. The mayor says he didn't like what he saw from police. There will be a full investigation, but he and the police chief also chastised protesters.
That situation was created by a group of protesters blocking and surrounding a police vehicle.
There are protests and there are mobs, and I saw akin closer to a mob.
But protesters say it's the police inciting violence, like this officer ripping off a mask to pepper spray someone. The mayor insists that police have shown restraint. He has resisted calls for a curfew, saying it's only a small number of instigators causing violence.
Some come from outside the city, some are from inside the city. Some are from the neighborhoods where the protests take place, some are not. But what we do know is there is an explicit agenda of violence.
Last night, some protesters blocked a group from vandalizing a Target store in downtown Brooklyn. That, many say, is not the point. It's about the daily confrontations that people of color have with police.
I've been stopping frisk nonstop from the ages 15 to 20.
Throw into the mix anger over the impact of the coronavirus on minority communities, and New York is as volatile as it's been in a long time.
That volatility we've seen throughout the night, and while the situation here has calmed down, the crowd has dispersed, headed down the street. The question is, will they coalesce tonight or will they come back again tomorrow and the night after? The anger is still not dissipating on the streets here of New York. The confrontations with police, the broken glass, the damaged buildings, the damaged police vehicles, a number of arrests tonight again. And so what we're seeing here is playing out across the country. But as one person said to me, they tried to have a peaceful protest today because they wanted to send a message to the rest of the country that this is the way it's supposed to be done. Ian?
All right, Steve D'Souza in New York City. Thank you. Let's turn now to where the unrest began, Minneapolis. Earlier this evening, Minnesota news outlet captured this moment.
What's happening right now? Oh wow, they're moving across. What's going on?
I'm not certain what.
Oh my gosh!
Here, wow!
Oh my gosh!
A giant.
Oh my God!
This is very dangerous.
Well, those pictures and the tone of the announcers say it all. The truck narrowly missing protesters who had gathered on the interstate that runs through the city. Its approach sent them scrambling. Protesters were seen converging on the vehicle. The driver was arrested. He was injured, but his injury is not life-threatening. Officials say it doesn't appear that the truck hit any protesters. Susan Ormiston has been live for us in Minneapolis through the evening. Let's check in with her. She is near the scene of what we saw there on the highway. Susan.
Yeah, Ian, you know, Minneapolis-St. Paul held their breath when that happened late this afternoon. There were thousands of demonstrators on that highway, as you saw, and the prospect of lots of injuries and that truck coming through the crowd scared a lot of people, and there were a lot of rumors that he did it on purpose. We don't know, in fact, that that was his intent. He is in custody, the driver, and there will be, of course, a full investigation. And consequently, the police came to this area, they blocked off the highway, they pushed protesters up a ramp, and they've been here for several hours. Tonight, though, it's quiet after a very peaceful protest earlier today at the state capitol.
Floyd! Floyd! Floyd!
A calmer protest today outside the state capitol, surrounded by the National Guard. 5,000 called up, compared with just 500 2 days ago.
Arrested today. That's what justice looks like.
Demands still that all 4 police implicated in George Floyd's death be charged instead of just one so far for murder.
We're tired of this shit. You cannot continue to oppress, beat down, marginalize, redline, and kill a people and think we ain't gonna stand up and eventually fight back. This is an uprising.
Rebecca Lind with her boyfriend fought back tears.
Nobody should be murdered just by the color of their own skin. And it's just so crappy that after so many years we still have to be talking about this.
But pursuing justice for Floyd is exacting a heavy price, dividing even those united in the cause.
Ignorant shit like that.
Last night's demonstration began peacefully, but most anticipated trouble. And just after curfew started, riot police advanced swiftly and forcefully, firing tear gas and rubber bullets. Protesters running wildly, eyes streaming. No mercy, move on out was the police message. We were caught up in the middle of it.
Oh, Jason!
No peace, no justice.
For hours, demonstrators set a line, trying to advance, and then retreated as police threatened.
No justice!
But once, as they yanked a makeshift barricade across the road, one man who lived nearby had had enough.
Don't burn our shit down. Go the fuck over there. Y'all can do y'all protest fuck 12, but y'all not burning my shit down.
Tempers flared, mace came out, fists flew, a powder keg between protesters and other residents, all of them agitated. Late today, another powerful image. Shouting Black Lives Matter, demonstrators filled a highway. Shifting tactics for protesters and police, but with tensions barely budging here. And that was just before that tanker truck appeared near those protesters. So the big question tonight, after a weekend of looting and burning and confrontations between police and demonstrators, will that continue into next week? Or has this week really stuck a pin in the frustration and anger here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and things may start to return to more peaceful and calm cities? We don't know the answer to that, Ian.
Susan Ormiston in Minneapolis tonight. Thank you. As we've seen, these protests can be unpredictable, and there is always risk for those covering them. But over the weekend, those risks appeared to increase. We want to show you a chaotic moment for Susan and our team yesterday.
Jason, be careful! Oh, shit! Just got hit. Jason!
So she was hit by a projectile fired by somebody with that riot squad. She is okay, of course. And she wasn't the only journalist hit while covering the unrest. Some are wondering what impact all of this will have on people trying to cover this important story.
I'm press. I am press.
I don't care, get down.
Okay, I'm down.
Scenes like this were captured in cities across the United States. The cameras rolling when law enforcement seemed to be targeting journalists.
We identified ourselves as press, and they fired tear gas canisters on us at point blank range. I got hit in the leg.
An investigative journalism website called Bellingcat reported at least 50 separate incidents from Minneapolis to New York City to Louisville, Kentucky. Many faced rubber bullets and tear gas. Some were even arrested. Just 2 days after this CNN television crew was arrested on air, it appeared they were targeted once again by police. With so many protests in so many U.S. cities, we've been asking Anita Bath here in our newsroom in Vancouver to keep an eye on them through the evening. Anita.
Ian, a mostly peaceful day in Boston started to turn violent this evening. This was the scene a bit earlier. Thousands of protesters out on the street in front of the State House. This image, powerful. It shows just how outnumbered the police are, something we're seeing in many cities. But here, as maybe a dozen or so of them stand in a line facing the massive group. Elsewhere in the city, this police car set on fire, burning out of control. We've also seen looting tonight and tear gas dispersed in an effort to get people out of the streets. At one point, hundreds even surrounding a police van, smashing out its windows. Let me show you Atlanta now, where a curfew is in place. The National Guard was out as protests became more intense there. We have seen confrontations tonight, a lot of tear gas as well thrown by police trying to calm the situation, and protesters looting a construction site using porta potties as barriers between them and officials. There's also fallout in Atlanta from this scene last night I'm about to show you. The two people in this car are being tasered by officers, and now two of those officers have been fired.
There would have been a time, probably even last week even, that we would have been able to take our time and very likely would not have taken the measure of terminating these officers. But again, as we watch the video today, it became abundantly clear that this force was excessive.
Now, there have also been protests here on the West Coast, for the most part peaceful, but this was the scene in Santa Monica earlier this evening. There's also smashed windows, everything inside of these stores cleared out. We are keeping an eye on Seattle and Portland. There has been some looting, but for the most part, people have marched without violence in those two cities. Ian?
All right, Anita, thank you. We're also seeing rallies across Canada, some in solidarity with U.S. protesters, but others to highlight justice problems in this country. Briar Stewart is at one of those rallies here in Vancouver. Briar.
Well, Ian, I'm in front of the Vancouver Art Gallery, and a few thousand people filled this square and spilled into the streets around it for the protest, which lasted about 2.5 hours. It was a very diverse crowd here. You had people young and old, and people representing many different cultural groups. You had First Nations here as well to show their support. And really what this was about was not only showing solidarity with the U.S., but also talking about the systemic racism issues in this country, and it was really just one of several protests that took part across the country. No justice, no peace! They're gathering in cities across Canada by the thousands, a country with its own enduring struggles with racism and injustice. Many here have experienced it firsthand.
I don't feel safe as if I were a white teenager my age. I always have to be extra vigilant if I'm with my friends. I always have to make sure I'm acting better than everybody.
I don't know if I feel safe or not. I just feel different. I'm treated different than other people because of my skin color.
Protests were also held yesterday in Halifax and in Toronto. They were passionate but peaceful gatherings. Some held signs with the name of Regis Korchinski-Paquette, the 29-year-old woman who died after apparently falling from her balcony last week while police were inside the apartment. In Calgary, a smaller, more intimate rally was held this afternoon.
I've never been to a protest before. This is my first one, and I just felt like I could not be silent.
In Vancouver, around 3,000 joined a protest downtown. Organizers urged people to wear masks and come out and show their support. Jacob Calendar-Prasad says while Canada is a very different country than the U.S., many of the same issues exist. He says he's been a victim of excessive force by the police.
There's a large underlying issue in Canada where racism gets swept under the rug, and it's time that that issue comes out. We bring it out and we put it into the light and we address this head on.
Briar, we do have a history in this city, Vancouver, of riots and demonstrations that become unruly, but organizers tonight certainly managed to keep things peaceful.
Yes, and those playoff riots, Ian, that was certainly on organizers' minds here. And what they did is that they wanted to control the crowd. So instead of having a march go through downtown Vancouver, they decided to center it here because they thought it would be much easier to control people's movements. I will say there were a couple skirmishes. There seemed to be a few people that were here to agitate the crowd, but it seemed to die down quite quickly. It was a bit of a different scene in Montreal. We showed you images from that protest earlier, but it did become unruly at one point. Tear gas was fired. We understand that some of the barricades were dismantled, and at one point police said projectiles were thrown at them, so they had deemed the protest to be illegal. So it was a bit of a different story there because it did deteriorate, but this protest ended how it began, in a very peaceful manner. Ian.
All right, Brian Stewart in downtown Vancouver. Thank you. The massive protests across the United States have sent shudders through the public health community. They could lead to a spike in new cases of coronavirus. This is what scares them. No signs of physical distancing, people packed together, cheering and jeering, many without masks. Today, the mayor of Washington, D.C. made a plea.
I'm urging everybody to consider their exposure if they need to isolate from their family members when they go home and if they need to be tested, because we have worked very hard to blunt the curve.
But as violence rocked cities, some, like Los Angeles, suspended testing due to safety concerns. I want to bring in infectious disease specialist Dr. Isaac Bogosh. And Dr. Bogosh, clearly we're not talking about the politics of these protests, but simply from a medical perspective. When you saw all that video of all those people shoulder to shoulder for a long time outside, what was your reaction?
And certainly, purely from a medical perspective, that's concerning to see, especially in the context of an epidemic that's hitting many parts of the United States hard. You see thousands of people. You see them very, very close together, many of whom are not wearing masks. It would come to no one's surprise if someone who had the infection in one of those protests, that individual could certainly transmit it to other people. Now, of course, we saw pictures of protests in many parts of the country. And in some settings, people were a little bit farther apart. That's helpful. In other settings, we saw lots of people wearing masks. That, of course, can be protective. And, of course, it's outside, which is also protective. But the scenes that we saw where people are tightly packed together, many of whom are not wearing masks, and with thousands of people, and that's a troubling scene in the context of an epidemic.
And I guess if they do develop symptoms, we're looking at 1 to 2 weeks when we find that out.
Yeah, but symptoms can develop as early as 2 to 3 days after an exposure. So I really hope people are mindful of that, and certainly that they know where to go for testing should they develop symptoms.
All right. Dr. Bogosh, thank you.
Anytime.
We'll come back to the protests in a moment, but we want to stay on the coronavirus story for a minute. There are 3 new cases in New Brunswick tonight, and this is sparking fears that the outbreaks that have plagued long-term care homes in Ontario and Quebec have come to New Brunswick. Harry Forrestal explains.
For the past 3 days now, Manoir de la Vallée has been the focus of a rapid response team sent in to test residents and staff for COVID-19. The results, not encouraging.
Today, there are 3 new cases of COVID-19 in the province. These cases, and one reported yesterday, have all been confirmed in residents of the Manoir de Vallée long-term care facility in Atholville.
The home has 51 residents with varying levels of care. 4 residents and 1 staff member are now known to be infected with the virus. 3 are in hospital, 1 in intensive care.
I understand the stress that this is causing for residents and staff of the Manoir and their families. An outbreak in a senior's home is everyone's greatest fear.
It's a dramatic setback in a province that has, until now, managed to keep the COVID genie in its bottle. Out of 61 care homes, this outbreak is the first breach in those defenses. And in another startling development, Premier Blaine Higgs acknowledged today that since Friday, a third of the Manoir staff have left their jobs.
10 out of 28. And they felt it necessary to leave the facility, which is concerning because, at a time like this, it's important that, we have everyone there to do what we can.
Why they've left, says the Manoir's owner, is simple. Fear. of COVID-19.
As soon as the staff learn that the COVID is around, many of them are just scared about that.
Advocates for nursing home residents are frightened too, worried that now COVID has a toehold in the province, it will spread to other care homes.
This is actually quite a setback. I'm really concerned that once they open the doors, it's going to spread.
There are now 12 active cases of COVID-19 in the province, all of them in the Campbellton region. And as public health officials warn, there will be more. Harry Forrestal, CBC News, Fredericton.
We have much more coverage ahead of our top story, reaction after the death of George Floyd. Including policing in America, what can be done to calm the country? And we're on the ground and inside the conversation.
No, hear me out.
We hear from those at the center of it all. Plus, amidst the violence, the moments of connection this weekend.
We can't forget, on all our police cars across the nation, it says protect and serve. Protect and serve. That means all people.
We're back right after this. Minneapolis residents have created a memorial where George Floyd was restrained by police and died. A focal point of remembrance and community. The memorial has been kept clean, fresh flowers laid down, and some people calling this sacred ground. Well, through the evening, our reporters have kept us up to date on what's happening in Minneapolis, in Washington, D.C., and also in New York City. And New York is where Stephen D'Souza is right now. And Stephen, what's going on?
Ian, for those viewers who've been watching us throughout the night, we were earlier with the group that was playing a bit of a cat and mouse game, marching through the streets. That group has shrunk in size considerably. We've caught up with them again, but what they've lost in numbers, they've gained in anger and intensity, and they're currently in a standoff with police right now. We'll just bring you over here to see what's taking place. Some of the protesters at the front of the line are kneeling down with their hands up. The police have pushed them back about a block, about 10 minutes ago or so. They made an announcement on the loudspeaker saying that this assembly was no longer legal and that it was an unlawful assembly, meaning that they were going to come through and start arresting people. But essentially what they did was started pushing people back through the line. And so what you have now is a bit of a tense standoff between some of the protesters and the police officers. So we're in a bit of a narrow street here. People could get pushed back, but there was somewhat of a bright moment just a second ago. Somebody had a medical emergency, and so some of the officers came off the line, helped that individual, brought them back, got them some water and got them some help. And earlier, part of this group, actually, we saw a number of people speaking with one of the sergeants in charge, having a bit of a dialogue. But we saw how there is a bit of a disagreement, even within the protesters, how to approach things, because as he was talking with the officer, trying to have a dialogue about this, this issue that everybody's protesting about, other people in the crowd were grabbing him and pulling him away, saying, no, don't talk to these guys, don't talk to them, they're the enemy and it's us versus them. And so it's really interesting to see how even within the group, there is no real agreement on how things should be done. But right now, this group here, people are on their knees, have their hands up, facing down with the officers. They are not going to move, and so we'll have to see what the police do and how this situation wraps up. But as we said earlier in the hour, things are getting more tense, more violent as the night goes on, and so we hope things will be resolved quickly here.
But it has been nice throughout the night from you and our other reporters to get beyond the sound bites and get the kind of perspective you're giving us. So, Stephen, thank you very much. Next on the national, voices of protesters, police, and community leaders.
I want to be able to go in a white neighborhood and feel safe. I want to be able just to be free and not have to think about every step I take. Because at the end of the day, being black is a crime.
Moments of passion from those seeking compassion across the United States. Right after this. We have seen the ebb and flow of this protest story happen in many cities across the country, including where you're looking right now, Washington, D.C., scenes of peaceful protest at times, but also scenes of fire and an element of violence as people have been throwing things towards the police, and the police at times standing their ground, but then beginning to clear certain areas of the city. So let's check in with Paul Hunter and find out what's happening in Washington, D.C. as we go through these changes. Paul?
Yeah, Ian, it's been a wild hour or so. Moments of madness and then periods of calm, which we're in right now. I'm just up the street from the White House. I don't know if you can look straight down the road there. You'll see a line of police. Just beyond that is the White House. We're in Farragut Square, for those who know D.C. There's another street over there where there's another wall of police. What's happening is that police are controlling the crowd. They've been methodical and calm. At the same time, people have been provocative, throwing firecrackers, fireworks at them. The tear gas has been lobbed back. If you want symbolism,
What's up, Mom? How you doing?
they set fire to a building in the park across from the White House tonight. That's going to be on front pages tomorrow. If there was a message to be sent to Donald Trump, which is what demonstrators were really trying to do here tonight, say they want change, they sent that message directly in front of the White House, setting fire to that building. There were cars set on fire down here. There was the AFL-CIO, the labor union business office, the lobby was set on fire. People were throwing hammers at the window and got in. But there's an 11 o'clock Eastern curfew.
Never kill black people. They should have never killed someone black. Easy.
This is exactly the message to Donald Trump tonight, right? And they got the message across, and it was peaceful, wasn't it?
Peaceful, very peaceful.
You think?
Out here.
You got the message to Donald Trump, which is
not burning things. The people that were burning things were not the blacks. Not black. African Americans.
Anything else to say? What is your message to Donald Trump tonight?
Fix this shit. That's it. Fix it. Fix this shit. Stand for this shit.
Heard that from a lot of people, Ian. People coming up to me saying the issue here is Donald Trump. Get him out of the White House. There's an election coming up in November. They made their message loud and clear tonight in the most powerful symbol of American government and American power, the White House.
I know on stories like this, Paul, and we just have a couple of seconds, you really are only the expert on what you can see. But in terms of what you can see, you've made the point that many of the protesters have been orderly and peaceful. And I think you touched on this, that the police have been, how would you describe it, restrained, orderly in the area you're in tonight?
100%. They have to respond when provoked. They have to push back. They have to create order. They've been doing that. It's a complicated business on both sides, but there hasn't been a back and forth of rampage. There was chanting, there was the hands up, don't shoot, there was all that, there's the Black Lives Don't Matter, the message was made. They cleared the area when the fires were set. They had to bring the emergency vehicles in to put out the fire. That was what really brought the police up from the first wall, right in front, the first line of police forces directly in front of the White House. They started moving only after the fires were set. So arguably it's been restrained on both sides, despite the drama, despite the fireworks and the tear gas. And again, just what I've seen, it's a big city. It's been, for the most part, restrained.
And of course, Black Lives Matter, a message that, along with I Can't Breathe, that we've heard in Washington and across the country. Paul, thank you very much. We have witnessed a divided country, under pressure from a pandemic, grievances boiling over. But we've also seen acts of unity. Here's a look at some of the moments from the weekend.
Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has been charged by the Hennepin County Attorney's Office with murder and with manslaughter.
We pay taxes!
You are disgracing our city. You are disgracing the life of George Floyd and every other person who has been killed in this country. We are better than this.
A lot of our brothers are getting killed in the streets. Most of the time, they try to say it's black on black crime. That's bullshit.
Wrong is knocking out somebody's windows that has nothing to do with it. But right is standing up for what's going on around here. Because I got a black son. He's got to be prepared to come out in this world to figure out what's going on. And I want him to see this firsthand.
We can't forget, on all our police cars across the nation, it says protect and serve.
Yes.
Protect and serve. That means all people, That means all people deserve the same dignity, and you can't call out what's wrong and try to make it right.
Free the man and free them all! Free them all!
When the glory comes, it will be ours, it will be God.
I want to be able, when a cop is driving behind me, I don't have to clench and be tense, okay? I want to be able just to be free and not have to think about every step I take. At the end of the day, being born black is a crime to them, and I don't understand why, because we're all humans, and that's sickening.
Stay strong, and if we stand together, we can overcome any oppression that comes our way.
He's 16! Oh my God. He's 16! What we gonna do? You tell me. What we gonna do? This ain't the way. Because they ready to let loose. If the United States president say, if you loot, we shoot. Then you think doing this go out? I know it. It's all I know it. But it's time to stand up. So at this point, I'm ready to die.
My human emotion, the visceral response to the erasing of the humanity of George Floyd, which felt like us erasing the humanity of all of us.
Charges don't mean anything until one of those people are in jail doing serious time, and I'm not talking about a slap on the wrist. 25 years, hard time in federal prison.
Thank you! Thank you!
Unfortunately, there are black and brown people having to clean up this mess, and this is what I can do, so I came out to clean.
I can't breathe! I can't breathe! No peace!
Many of us in Canada know very little about Minneapolis-St. Paul, so we wanted to check in with Keith Mays, a professor at the Department of African American and African Studies at the University of Minnesota. Professor, the unrest in the cities goes deeper than the death of George Floyd. So can you give us briefly some context of the African American experience in Minneapolis-St. Paul?
Absolutely. Minneapolis and St. Paul, the state of Minnesota has some of the worst disparities in the United States. If you look at the income levels, income gaps, the educational gap, rates of incarceration, rates of home ownership, in many ways, this is just a powder keg waiting to explode. We are coming off of the deaths of Philando Castile, where the police officer was acquitted, Jamar Clark, in 2015. So the police abuse on top of the massive inequality in the state gave rise to what you see today taking place in the streets.
You've walked around those streets in your community. You know what has been going on and the mood. What will it take to quell the violence?
Justice, immediate justice. We have the arrest of Derek Chauvin. We are waiting for the arrest of the other 3 officers, and that's what it's going to take in the immediate. In the long term, we are looking for some of these inequalities to be addressed, and we know that they can't change overnight, but we're tired of public officials paying lip service to the issues. It's time that we really understand what's going on in Black and brown communities so we can live out the democracy that's stated in the ideals of the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution. We've been fighting for these rights for 240 some odd years.
Keith Mays from the University of Minnesota, thank you very much for speaking with us tonight.
Thank you, Ian.
If you've been watching us through the evening, you know at times Minneapolis, St. Paul has been the scene of some very tense moments. Our Susan Ormiston has been in the middle of it. Let's check back with her now, and it's gotten a little quiet.
Yes, we're taking a breather, as is this neighborhood. Happily so. There is still a police barricade here at the top of the street, but we've seen 7 police vehicles leave in the last few minutes. I just want to tell you about these cones here, Ian. The community put these cones here. Why? Because people were driving up this line and getting fired at by police earlier tonight, and they didn't want that to happen. So they just created their own barricade to protect their community. And that's the kind of thing that we are seeing. Communities coming together to say, hey, get out of my neighborhood, don't smash it, don't burn it, stay home, and protest peacefully. We've got a message here, it's justice, but the message cannot be looting and destruction. So tonight, happily, this community has stayed relatively calm. The police have held their ground, the demonstrators made their point and moved on. The curfew is still in place. And no predictions really, though, what's going to happen this coming week in Minneapolis after one of the most, possibly the most dramatic and dangerous week in St. Paul and Minnesota ever.
Well, nice work tonight, Susan, and nice to see it a little bit quiet, at least for now. We have the story now of a business owner who knew both George Floyd and the officer arrested in his death. As Carolyn Dunn tells us, the shopkeeper's story is an example of the deep impact on the community.
Destruction is all that's left of Pablo Hernandez Camara's dream. He spent 2 years and $120,000 to open his sports bar. COVID-19 delayed its launch, then the protests and the fire.
Maybe 4:30 in the morning, somebody called me, hey, Pablo, the place is fire. You really? Yeah. I take my car, you come in here, everything is fire.
Most of his personal belongings burned too. Now he has just 6 pairs of pants and 6 shirts to his name, and no insurance on an unopened business.
All my money, my money, my family, everything is you put it here. Look at him.
His niece Jennifer is doing what she can.
I just felt like really helpless, like I couldn't really do anything. And so my tidbit to be able to do something is just a fundraiser to gather anything to help the community here.
Pablo knew both George Floyd and the man charged in his death. Floyd worked security at the club Pablo managed, also gutted. Officer Derek Chauvin policed the area outside. It's not clear whether the two knew each other. Pablo can still hardly believe George Floyd is dead.
Oh my God, this is not possible, no lo podía creer.
The burned-down block is drawing crowds of people taking pictures and weighing the toll of the unrest.
I feel horrible for the business owners who didn't want anything to do with this, but there's a certain point when peaceful protests just don't get the point across anymore. The black people have had enough of being mistreated, like we've had enough of the racist cops, everything.
So it's a lot more than just bricks and mortar. It's people's dreams, it's people's lives, it's people's livelihoods, it's home.
As for Pablo Hernandez Camara, he is supportive of the protests. He just wishes the violence that has come with them hadn't changed his future forever. Carolyn Dunn, CBC News, Minneapolis.
Next, as protests erupted across the United States and around the world, a plea from a singer.
I'm a young black man doing all that I can.
We're back right after this.
For the latest coronavirus pandemic updates, breaking news, and top stories, download the CBC News app now.
This was the 6th night of protests. Thousands of people in streets and cities across the U.S., many hoping their message is finally heard. After George Floyd was killed, 12-year-old Keedron Bryant decided to channel his feelings into a song, an emotional tribute that's now become an anthem with a powerful message.
I'm a young black man doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I I look around and I see what's being done to my kind. Every day I'm being hunted as prey. My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough struggle. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.
We have seen eloquent, passionate messages from so many places. Songs, of course, from reporters who are speaking in the United States in very revealing ways about their experiences, and certainly by many people on the street, some of which we captured tonight and will continue to have on the program as this story does continue. That is the National for Sunday, May 31st. Good night.